check. Good morning, RC After Hours podcast fans. It is André, and I am live from what we refer to as the $50 studio, and hopefully the stream is going a little better this time around. I'm trying some new technology here. If you watch the YouTube version of this, there was some controls and everything, and I use a little software called Open Broadcast Solution or System Studio, something like that. And I learned a little trick where I can use one computer to host the show and make everything look pretty, and another to stream, therefore reducing the overall load and everything. So I'm really noticing that my camera's got a pretty wide view, and you can see everything in the studio right now, and it's a mess in here. And the reason it's a mess is because I am getting ready for that awesome journey to Ohio, which is about door to door, 900 kilometers. I'm not sure how much that is in miles, but it is a 9 to 10 hour journey. But believe it or not, it's a very relaxing affair. I find I unwind on road trips, and I've recently done a couple. Traditionally, I go down to Ohio and Maine. I couldn't go down this year, so I'm missing that early endurance test. But I did do a 6-hour drive for work. So 950 kilometers, yeah. Because Martin, you're in another country. So good morning, everybody on Facebook. I hope you enjoyed the previous podcast. It is just myself, André, in the Canadian studio this morning. Chris is off on another family adventure, which is fantastic for him. Last I heard, he says they were going somewhere with no cell coverage, so that's pretty awesome. Haven't talked to Mike recently, but I figured I'd do a quick show. I'm not sure how long it's going to go since I am all by myself, but we're going to try and do a little bit of a show just to have something for everybody to listen to on their road trip journeys as they make it their way to Ohio for Flite Fest. Hopefully you're coming along. Hopefully you're bringing your Radian and any other amazing airplanes to fly while you're down there. I'm focused primarily this year on a lot of flight test planes. I'm noticing if I can cram the Tundra in there, I will. But it's majority of flight tests plus I think my little Sky Hunter, because we're going to try and do some FPV. I'm actually going to try and make my way down to the Edgewater Park because I am a founder. I supported the initiative, but I've yet to see the actual facility myself in person. Last year, by the time we got to Sunday, I was done. I was worn out, so I decided that it was best to just take it easy and go and relax and enjoy the Sunday evening events with friends who were on site at Fury Field. So that said, we're going to talk briefly about Flite Fest and some of the enjoyment there, but I'm going to go through first thing in the morning right now is we're going to talk about some of the new aircraft and new offerings from the various suppliers. I don't know about you, but it seems like the summer we've slowed down and the reveals or the new products are kind of trickling off. I haven't seen a whole lot. So I've got a couple of that Horizon are showing and a couple from a few offerings from Flite HobbyKing. Haha. Flytest will have some new airplanes too. I'm thinking they're gonna have some neat from John. John has been producing a lot of really cool ones. I actually have as I talked about in the previous podcast, I do have the Corsair, which I need to sit down and build, so that will come along, and yeah, there's just so much to talk about, so much to work through. So, first thing I'm going to roll up, and there you go for our visuals. Look at that. We've got our nice visuals for the Facebook folks. First aircraft we're looking from is from HobbyZone, and it's the AeroScout 1.1 millimeter ready to fly. I don't know what to think of this airplane. It's basically a tricycle geared trainer. It looks beefy, and reading through some of the specs, it might have the potential to be pretty cool. It's got safe and everything, and look at those gear. That nose gear and that rear gear seem pretty beefy. Runs off a 3S2200, so we are still getting aircraft with 3S2200. It actually says it uses a USB-C smart charger for easy charging, and that's pretty darn cool actually. Nice motor, oversized wheels, and just this could actually be a really good learner. I know they changed up the some of the training aircraft, and I'm not 100% sure that we had that entry-level aircraft anymore. I like this because it's got gear, it's got a simple motor setup. This could very well be a very handy training aircraft for anybody who's trying to get a young flyer into the hobby, because you are on gear. You probably could hand toss it without risking the prop, and some of the Delta Ray, they changed that aircraft completely, and I think it got too small. So something like this, you could probably start off in a 3-channel configuration and then very quickly advance to 4-channel. My thought on something like this too is, why would you start off in 3-channel these days? Unless the aircraft, if you've got the ability to bank and yank, I think that the flying experience is a lot better because you can maneuver through it. So let me know what you think about this aircraft. Sub $200, and I believe this is the ready to fly, so I'm not sure what radio it comes with, what's in the box. A DXE controller, which, out of the box, if you've got a radio, you definitely could definitely get away with that as a starter, but obviously we always learn that you just blast through your initial radio. So UMX timber color schemes. John Davis says had some hands-on time with that aircraft at HHRFest and last month, and it is an awesome trainer, which is fantastic because he's got a young pilot on his hands who's doing really good, as I've seen. Next up is the Ranger. We've seen this from FMS, and the claim to fame for this aircraft is the indestructible landing gear. It looks impressive. I've seen the videos and some of the demonstrations where they sit there and basically the front gear is on a spring, and you're supposed to not be able to destroy the landing gear on this thing. It is a tricycle gear. I'm not a tricycle gear fan personally. I find getting those landings in really well, and it's something I need to practice on the big jets and stuff like this. This is something that you need to learn as you advance through. But I'm still a tail dragger kind of person for whatever reason. I just like how those airplanes land and take off and handle the ground. But again, this is another nice, versatile airplane if you're looking for something that's durable and in the trike gear. It's got some, I love the colors because it's yellow, that's just me, but it's got a nice looking airframe. It's got it's got 5 9-gram servos, 20 amp ESC, and it takes a 1300 battery, so it's not a huge airplane. 1300 3S, not a big airplane. 1200 kV motor, 20 amp ESC, 5 servos, and it's high strength metal landing gear. You can think it's got a float, so it comes with floats and everything, so it's not too bad. And it has just checking really quickly, it's a 10x5 prop, which makes sense for that size of motor. And I'm looking for it has no flaps, 1200 grams with floats. Length, I'm just trying to find the wingspan really quick. Wingspan 48 inches, right on the money as far as a nice simple aircraft. you could definitely turn something like this into a tail dragger, which is what Nick is saying. Next, from Flyzone. Who has had a Flyzone 1S ready to fly? When I got back into electrical flying, my first airplane was a Tiger Moth. And that poor thing has been through motors. It's full of hot glue. But it was so simple. I would get my airplane, my little Tiger Moth biplane, out in the wind and fly it into the wind. You know, you're fighting against everything, all the elements on this little 1S thing, and I would just run battery after battery when I started flying with that thing. Just got used to it. I could fly the thing inverted, which is really interesting on a when you don't have ailerons, right? It's just a simple three control. I don't even think this thing comes with any flight controller or nothing, which is the way it's supposed to be on a little 1S plane. And you just go out there and buzz around with something like this and just run battery after battery. I actually passed it to my dad because he was struggling at one point and really brought him back. I think we were in the baby blender days and stuff like this, and the problem we were always having was CG was never quite the same. The radio, really, it would be awesome if they would do like a DSMX module into this thing, so anybody with a proper radio or a module of their own could control it without using this little tiny silly remote right there. But it would be, I still love these airplane. Sub $100. Now, are they first user friendly? I flew my son on one, and you got to grab the remote, and I found changing the props in the field on these are like the prop shaft is really delicate, so I had to, you get there with your pliers and you try and pop, or your needle nose, you try to pop the prop off and press the other one on without mangling the foam and everything. There's nothing to hold on to. So it's now Buck says STL protocol. I thought it was a tactic. I think my old radio was a tactic. This one might not be a tactic. Many things have changed over the years, but it's, it is such a fun little thing. What's really nice is if you're at the field, you can charge off the remote. You can plug your 1S battery in there. I just ended up having a pocket full of 1S packs and everything as I went through. Will Horizon be at Flite Fest? Nick, I don't know, but I suspect they will. They were there last year, and they're a big part of the family for Flytest. But there you go. Nice looking airplane. If I was looking for one, it's even got little streamers on the tail. Beautiful colors, beautiful everything. Wouldn't it be nice, and we've said this before, and Alpha had commented on how these planes, the World War I planes, for the scale and everything, they just find it a hard marketplace. But boy, I would love to see more World War I biplanes into the market. I will be picking up parts for my Park Zone Albatross and SE5, which I'm super excited about. Andy Chase, one of the podcast listeners and supporters, happened to mention that his hobby store was closing down, and he snagged me a whole whack of parts. So I will have spare parts for these planes. I really got to fly them. It's terrifying. At the same time, you need to fly them because they're so old and delicate and hard to find spares for, but at least I've got something. So there's another consideration. Now we're going to flip over to HobbyKing. This is something I saw. They haven't been producing or releasing too many things. It's kind of, I wonder if we're just in the summer. They've rolled out a lot of their stock, and we won't see a lot of stuff till the fall. Exclusive messages. So this caught my eye. I'm a twin fan, okay? I love twin prop aircraft, and enjoyed my Bush Mule, my Sky Mule even more. But look at this thing. This is the HobbyKing, the H-King Twin Otter DHC-6, 1840 millimeters, so a 72-inch wingspan, EP foam, and it looks awesome. Let's see if I can expand some of these graphics for everybody online seeing. Again, it's a neat looking airplane. I don't think it's got flaps. I'm checking through the specs. Actually, I take that back. It's not a foam plane. This is an all balsa construction, fiberglass cowls, good for nitro application, pre-painted, high quality fiberglass. It has a 2-piece aluminum wing joiner, very short assembly time. This is pretty neat. It has a flying weight ready to fly weight between 3.3 to 3.5 kilograms. Fuselage is 55 inches, wingspan is 72, so pretty neat. Electric, they're talking about two 900 kV motors, 40 to 60 amps, 10-inch props. Pretty well the kit that you would use on board the Bushmule. And it 4 servos, so that means it does not have flaps. I like flaps and stuff like this because you can really slow it down. It is a pretty neat airplane, so it's just something that caught my eye. Neat little graphic scheme and everything. Nose gear, rear gear look pretty decent. Strutted wings, so that's pretty cool. Next, something that also caught me. I keep throwing up the little things. I guess they're talking about their servos in more waterproof analog. I've never actually had a concern about this, but I guess they're finally doing it. How much they do to make the servos? So we're talking Turnigy 509W metal gear servos. These are almost a staple, but I've noticed, and I don't know if anybody else notices, the prices of servos have been slowly creeping up. And you know, used to be a $5 servo is now a $7 servo. So you know, your layout on the aircraft and everything are getting a little bit more expensive. I mean, I personally like a good scratch build, but you're starting to notice those prices, though the cost to build the aircraft are going up, and that's what all with all the taxes and everything, or all the tariffs that are being put on the electronics and everything. Anyhow, there we go. Waterproof 9-gram metal servos from Turnigy. I have a whack of these, and every time I do an order from HobbyKing, I do stick in a couple extra. Something that caught my eye from our friends at Aero. Actually, I'm trying to get them on the show to talk about some of the products. And I just recently noticed they've now got a 980 millimeter P47, which looks pretty cool. I'm not sure where they're picking up the models from. I don't know if they're developing them by themselves, but this looks pretty nice. $190 US, has an 840 kV with a 40 amp ESC. That's a 4-bladed prop, and it takes a 3S2200. Again, so we're seeing a lot of aircraft are sort of moving back. I guess it all depends on where you want to go. There's LEDs and everything. I wonder if it looks more like an old FMS or something like that, but it's got a 4-blade 10 by 5 by 8 prop and 6 servos, so 6 channel receiver required, and 3S2200. So, you know, not a bad looking aircraft, and give you some capabilities if you're looking to expand your Warbird lineup. So that one's coming soon, again from Aero. They also, I think we talked about it last time, have the Corsair. That's 1100 millimeter wingspan. Might be a little bit more forgiving. Again, $190, which is pretty cool. And then on the same token, we've seen this aircraft before, and this is the Marlin 64 millimeter EDF. It's got that Futura from FMS look with a simple paint job, but still a nice looking aircraft. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes. It's a repainted version of the FMS. That's what I thought, according to Michael Rosnick, which is correct. And then the Marlins. So not bad, $150. That is scrolling down. It's got a 40 amp ESC, 240 size motor, 900 millimeter wingspan, and we'll take a 4S 2200 to 6. So if you're looking for a simple 4S EDF 64 11 blade is actually interesting on a 64 mil, and has servos, fixed gear, robust fixed gear, eight servos. So I guess the elevators are all individual. Probably has flaps. Does it have flaps? It does have flaps. So that's not bad. Sorry, I'm scrolling around a lot for the video. Yeah, so there we go. So, and yeah, so that is offerings from Aero. Now, earlier this week, I got out and I flew with a buddy, and we were doing a little U.S. thing. He lifted off American flag with, and I shot, and I got to fly his Phantom 4 Pro version 2, and the significance of that, I mean, over mine, the Pro 2 has the lens, or has a mechanical shutter, so you don't get some of that strobe effect of the on the 4K video. But what it did have was that remote with the integrated display, and wow, was I blown away. Traditionally, I shoot when I fly my Phantom. I shoot and I use my my Apple iPad Mini, and I have to put the blinders on and everything. This display was so clear, so bright. It was really amazing. It is like wow. That's all I gotta say. But obviously, there's a significant amount of price. Now, what I did notice and like is that it does the new technology, and if you're on the fence as far as how fast the technology is going, this new one it flies. And I've flown with the goggles before with a Mavic. I said it right. But DJI has done a really nice job integrating the OcuSync technology into the Phantom line, so you get the 2.4 and the 5 gig video. And we had two birds in the air. This other one was this huge thing, and it actually lifted the flag off, but the winds were pushing us around. What was really interesting was Steve's that my buddy I was flying with has different rates, so I'd go and move the Phantom and be expecting something how I fly it, and it would do something a little different. It would be a little more quick on the rates and everything. But amazing. I learned a new actually found a new place, so I've got to get out there with my Phantom and fly around, do some scenic adventures. We were also having some fun shooting a Canada Day video, and I took out that big truck of mine. That is the Losi Super Baja Ray, and I got this because I got those 6S packs for days when I can't get out and fly my jets and stuff like this. And we did a speed run, and I ran out of room, and I topped out at I didn't even top out. I was doing 93 kilometers an hour before I had to jam on the brakes so I wouldn't run into to a wall or anything like that out where we're driving these things. So looking forward to trying that thing out in the dirt and having some fun. But we shot two quick videos celebrating Canada Day, and then obviously for July 4th for Independence Day. Here I'm back on the main camera, and there's the big Losi for the people watching the live stream. The Super Baja Ray. It's a 1/6 scale truck. Cost way too much money, but was pretty cool. I'm really happy to have been able to pick that thing up and make it part of the fleet of expanding trucks. Yeah, there are crawlers, there are stadium short track trucks and everything. There's all kinds of stuff. RC trucks are just like planes. You need just a different one for every occasion, but they still seem to make everything nice and fun. So rolling on to the show, I'm pulling up my show notes to talk about everything. So Flite Fest. I guess my question as I sat down this morning drinking my coffee and asking myself is, why do you go? What do you expect? What do you bring? And, it's why has this become such an amazing event? Last year, we had, if I'm correct, there were 5,000 visitors on site, 1,500 pilots, and a ton of volunteers. And my end of it is I help the volunteers coordinate and organize, but they're the ones doing all the groundwork, and we can jump into that. Nick asks me if I'm bringing a truck. I am bringing to Flite Fest, and friends are bringing trucks. All the guys I know are talking. We're bringing our crawlers. Something like this, if this took out somebody, oof, it's heavy, it's fast, and I don't want to particularly bring my 6S packs with me for that trip. It's a little it's not a problem, but I can't see myself having time. But I'm going to bring my crawler, which has got lights and everything, so we can just relax in the evenings and stuff. So rolling into now, I've had some requests. I'm just looking for something here on my desk. I don't know where I put it. Stickers. I lost my last RC After Hours sticker. Go figure. Here's one. There you go. I have gone and procured, and they will be arriving in Ohio later on this week, 300 plus stickers for Flite Fest. Now, if you want a sticker, you've got to show up. You got to get a sticker from me, maybe 2-3 stickers, whatever. We'll see. I don't want to run out. I want to make sure everybody gets them, but you have to take a selfie. We need social media. I want you to go and selfie, hashtag, Flite Fest, Flite RCAfterhours, and everything. Tag us, and we're going to have some fun with these because, everybody deserves an RC After Hours sticker. And they're basically this one. I just produced, like I said, 300 of them. I also have a sticker for myself and my friends the close friends know exactly what that's all about. We're having some fun. We're going to do some fun social media stuff. So make sure you find me, grab it, get a sticker from me, take a photo. I'll be busy, but you'll be able to see me. I got some my t-shirts, my volunteer t-shirts now have my name on them, so that's pretty cool. So you'll be able to find me. So we're gonna have some fun. So let's roll in and talk about, and I'm gonna engage the community because we do have people on our Facebook live stream right now, and we're gonna talk about Flite Fest. And I guess the first question is, why do you go? If you roll back for me, and I mentioned this if anybody follows my stream, 2014 was the very first year. This was a brand new event, very loosey-goosey, very early days, and we had done Flytest had done a GoFundMe to get the show going, and it worked out really well. And I was really on the fence as far as what I was going to do or if I was going to go. I had actually had a pretty bad racing car accident a few weekends before on Father's Day in June, and was feeling pretty banged up. But Chris convinced me to come down, and I volunteered, met a lot of awesome people, and that was year one, and I met a lot of people I now know. So we're going on, this will be 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. This is our 6th year. I've done all the Flite Fest events throughout the US, which has been amazing, but this will be our 6th year. And last year was super special. Nothing compares to year one. And, hopefully the weather holds out. But, it is, as Mike Finley just pointed out, it is a family reunion. And that's what it has become. We're all sad when someone says, they can't make it for whatever reason. But we all know there's always next year. So that is a nice thing about it. And So what does someone who's not been there expect out of this? I hope you don't like sleeping, because it's an active event. I know from years past we were up till 2 o'clock in the morning, and then we get back up at 6 and do it all over again. Particularly if you're a volunteer or doing any of that. There's so many dedicated people trying to make this event as good as you can. And what do you bring? Well, you bring a bit of everything. The rule for any kind of these events, don't bring a plane that you truly love. Well, now Joshua Orchard, he's a little crazier, and he brings things that I would never dare fly. I'm nervous about flying my Radiant in this event. But bring aircraft that are a little bit more durable, a little bit more disposable, and stuff that can handle rough field conditions. We lay down a Gore-Tex tarmac kind of thing over top of a farm field. Let's face it, this is a farm field, but the facilities are slowly developing over the years, and we're slowly changing the landscape, improving the grass and everything. Bring nothing you love. Yeah, that's Ryan Papp's suggestion. And it's Flite Test and Flite Fest. And so even myself, over the years, I brought a lot of foam aircraft, and that's changed even for me. And I'm starting to bring stuff that I develop and build. And so my repertoire this year are, my FD Racer. Ryan, you can't touch my FD Racer. It's brand new. It's beautiful. An old FT Spitfire. My dad passed me after he built his new one. I have my FT Scout, which I love and adore. And then I've got the big pink bomber. I wanted to bring that huge mega bomber, but unfortunately it's just too big, and I never figured out how to make the wing into a two-piece. And at 90 inches, it's too big to put in the car. And then of course there's the Radiant, and we're going to talk about the Radiant Fun Fly because the new Radiant with the LED package, I have mine. I haven't even flown it yet. That's just how my season's gone so far. But I'm bringing my classic one. I love that airplane to death, and hopefully this year no one will fly into it, right? Last year it had a massive crash. 2017? Yes. Last year it had a massive crash in May. Rebuilt it, straightened it all out. Bring the night Radiant and FlexJet. No, the FlexJet's terrifying to me. No, for me, I'm going to talk about my flying in a bit because I think I've run a little different of a scenario. But the Radiant Funfly should be amazing. I mean, between all the rollout of all those new Radians, that's going to be crazy. And I'm getting older, so this year I actually have glasses for long distance. I'm going to wear these things when I'm flying because I find they relax me a little bit. If it does, it will be. We'll talk about the weather shortly, Mike. Sorry, folks, I'm kind of multitasking here. But anyhow, the Radiant Funfly should be amazing. Make sure you have a spotter. We've all learned this over the years. You need a spotter, and your spotter's going to be able to find your Radiant. So that's what's cool about the lighting ones. You can, rather than try and do a crazy Ivan, you can actually cycle your lights on your Radiant and try and spot it, especially if you put the remote control devices into it to control the lights. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the receiver out on my lit Radiant, but I got to get around to that. So one of the things I'm hunting for when I go to Flytefest is a new the FR Sky Vario thin 8-channel combo receiver. I'm definitely going to pick up one of those for my Radiant and just use it and enjoy that aircraft as well. My thoughts on the new Radiant, however, is I'm not a fan of the screw-in wings. The old Radiant works. It's getting a little older, so I tape it, but the screw-in wings drive me crazy because it's like, oh, I got to put this thing together and all the wiring. One of the things I've also learned after I did the mod was to actually add little 10 centimeter servo extensions for the wing lights, and it just makes the whole connection a lot faster. Can you make a Flytefest car parking video? How so? Is that a packing? Oh, packing video. So you're going to laugh. I take photos of how I set my car up. And this is a suggestion from Bill Deckard. I take a photo of how I set the car up so I know. And like last night I was fumbling through my photos going, what luggage did I take last year and where did I put it? And sure enough, there's a photo of my little carry-on flight package, approved, airline approved luggage jammed in behind the seat in the car, so I know where to go. And the other end on the packing is every year I put in my notes, take less planes, and already this year I busted that limit. They're all flight test planes, and if I can, like I said, I'm gonna try and get the Tundra in with me and do a little high wing flying while I'm out there at Fury Field. But cheapers. It's the car's getting full, and I sort of want to leave a little bit of room to see what's going to come home with me. Last year, the FlexJet came home. That was a splurge purchase, and love that jet to pieces. Try not to put it into pieces, and I haven't flown enough, and that's been my bad year, in that I've not flown a lot of my jets, just because of circumstances, weather conditions, and so forth. But gonna try and look at something while I'm there. Ooh, I thought about a Motion RC aircraft and decided that I was gonna wait. I don't particularly want another jet right now. I want to fly my jets into the fall, and I will. But I want something to use those 6S packs, and again, that goes back to the Super Bahare purchase and what. And why I got that one. I have all these beautiful, I've got like 12 6S packs, and I want to utilize them. So we'll see. I'm going to actually look at what manufacturers are on site and what they have to offer and everything, and we'll go from there. So why do you go to Flytefest? Because it's family, it's craziness. Every year we see the average age of the pilots dropping down. Those are the build nights and everything. What to expect? Well, like I said, a mixed bag of flying. This year we're changing the FPV stuff up a bit, so if you're trying to get into FPV, you're going to actually have an opportunity. You get a chance to learn and build. One of the things I'm going to advise people too is if you, last year we experimented with a network so you could actually view the videos. If you have a particular plane in mind, download that video from YouTube, store it on your device, have it there. You don't need a wing. No, you don't need a wing to fly FPV. No, not at all. I actually am going to try and fly FPV either at the field early on before all the craziness starts, or I'm going to take my micro Sky Hunter with me to Edgewater and fly that there. So, yes. Now, what to bring? Following up on that is your combat plane. If you're into combat, go crazy. I personally find the combats, because of what I do and how and my level of responsibility, quotations mark here, air quotes, I find combats really stressful as a person because I'm standing back waiting for the chaos. It is chaos. It is hilarious. It is fun, and every year we get better at managing it and keeping it safe and protecting that bubble around the spectators and pilots and everything. But it's still stressful. But if you're into combat, oh boy, you can have a lot of fun. We've noticed that the bigger airplanes tend to do well. So if you can over-engineer that craft, it tends to survive. No, you don't need a wing. I have enough wings, thank you, Ryan, and I'm working. And I have to apologize to Defiant Wings, Sean. I'm not done my D28, but we'll get there. Everything will come in time. Everybody's got to be patient with poor André. I've had a rough year, and I'm working on getting my energy levels and my joy of the hobby back and everything. So bring planes that are, again, like I said, rough field capable. So whatever gear, if you're a competent pilot, rock the tricycle gear. But I like a tail dragger with big wheels, so Tundra style, or no landing gear. Toss belly landers. I think a belly lander works well. Be mindful that whatever field there's out there, it does damage. I've crashed every year, I think. But the one year I put the Sky Mule, the Sky Mule into the soybeans, thinking it would be a soft landing. That poor airplane's fuselage was just ripped to shreds, just destroyed. So know that if you go in, and if you are flying any kind of combat, any kind of FPV, a locating beeper is probably is something that you really want to look into. Make sure you can secure your battery, because as soon as the battery is ejected, forget it. You have no way of defining your aircraft, and every year stuff gets lost, particularly into the cornfields. I go in deep. I've gone in deep a few times, go hunting for people's airplanes, and that's craziness in there. So any kind of beeping or anything like that, any kind of beeper will help. So what to bring as far as you're camping, folks. You are. Last year we had some pretty crazy weather, but sustained heat, so be aware of that. We camped out, and it was 35 degrees Celsius the entire time. Bring your boots. Bring your rain jacket, because it will rain, it will get muddy, and the shower amenities are there, but they get dirty after the end of it. We do try and get them cleaned fairly often, but I still remember the thud from the Sky Mule. That's what Martin says. Yes, I was very aggravated. It was my own pilot error for screwing up my settings and everything, but make sure you bring whatever camping fun you like, and be self-sufficient. There are amenities, there are supplies around, but the more you take care of for yourself, the better off you are. And I remember the shark in the corn. Yes, I mean there's so many memories. Actually, I forgot here. I have a whole photo bank of reasons to come to Flite Fest, and I should be rolling through these as I talk. There's the Canada flag event, or the U.S. flag. So, yeah. The combats are fun. I'm just flipping through some photos and everything. Yes, drinking water, lots of water. We always have water. Last year was extremely warm the entire time, but everybody was pretty happy about it. I guess from a safety, hey, look at that, D28 in the photo stream. One of the safety thing is be mindful of your battery packs and your goggles and your radios. I actually suffered a radio failure a couple years ago, and I think it was heat and moisture related. Left everything in the car. Now I tend to put everything into the tent and actually try and keep the tent well ventilated, and I think that's probably why my radio failure occurred, which was really a bummer. So now I always come with a spare, which is still no better if you don't have the model loaded in, plus you got to rebind and everything, but at least I wasn't out of the water without, I actually could still fly something. And be creative. I think that's the funnest part. Some of these builds that people do over the weekend is just amazing. And every year we encourage that. We have the checkpoint where we'll get one of the flight test crew to go through and look over the aircraft and check its stability, and just from a safety standpoint. But again, bring what you like. The night flying for me is what's the most incredible thing. I think I'm just too old nowadays and my eyes don't handle it, but I have my my little night arrow, and there's always vendors. There's a couple really smart vendors who hang out and sell LED lights all night long, and these kids come running out with a couple bucks in their hands. And as a parent, I'm thinking Flitefest is a very expensive experience because of all the accessories, but it's so worth it to see some of these kids start flying and just get involved and have just an amazing experience. It's like, why would you not? Encourage your kid to fly and just help this hobby? And I think that's a real cool thing about the scratch build kits. They're a little bit more disposable. There's Ben and his crazy jet from last year. Flat Mike. Yes. And the volunteers. I can't speak highly enough of just, what the volunteers mean to this event and how hard they work. I've benefited from everybody's hard efforts, and every year I feel like the program gets a little better, and it's surprising how much effort people will put in, and it's just it's really neat to see, and I'm looking forward to this year. We're continuing to develop some of the programs and push and push and push, and that's all about making sure people who come to the event see the value in what we're doing and want to come back, because then the event gets to keep going and we keep growing, we keep recruiting, and to me that's pretty darn cool. And you get to meet people you wouldn't get a chance to meet, and so there's Matt handing me over that awesome DSMX module, which has really been useful. So yeah. And there's just, the combats are fun, and here's a prime picture of Brian recovering his airplane after a combat after he had sat in the field for a day, and it's just that's the community showing their strength. Someone else found his plane, and so that it's nice that you can recover that. Be expected to lose something, because it will happen. Your airplane will go in and you will be without an airplane for possibly the rest of your flying day at Flitefest. It does happen. We've all crashed it. We've all crashed something. We've all lost something, but it's good to go. Any questions from the ongoing chat group that I can fill about Flitefest? The venue has changed a little bit. I don't have the photo loaded into the bank, but earlier this month, the Furies put up a new barn, which is now going to be the store, and it is the store front and also the registration location. So it's kind of cool. We're slowly putting in, we're slowly investing in, or not we, they are slowly investing in Flitefest, and that just means it's going to be hosted at Fury Field for the foreseeable future. And the rationale there is Edgewater is nice, but not viable for holding up the events. So what's the hardest, Michael asks, what's the hardest aspect of being a volunteer? I don't think it's, if it's money, it's a physical grind. What we've really worked on over the years is reducing the shifts for a volunteer and making it really clear. I now have been, this will be my 7th volunteer coordinator stint. And over the years, we've tried to produce a product, or not produce, but design the volunteer experience to be not so tasking. Earlier on, if you volunteered, it was just a slugfest the entire event. Nothing wrong with that. I really loved going crazy and just, and because I got to meet the people. It's, want to be... I'm going to read some of the quotes as I go through, comments as I go through. I'm actually going to move my laptop so I can see it. And so the volunteering has actually changed quite a lot over the last couple of years, I feel, and it's probably gotten better. And I try to recommend people do stuff, one, that interests them, and two, really focus in on your personal safety. So if you're having issues being in the sun, well, then probably don't want to work on the flight line or do parking, right? But there are plenty of other ones. And like I said, we've reduced the shifts down to about 3 hours, and I've tried to spread it out. And I've slowly, because we were getting more volunteers, I've been able to enhance the position, not enhance, but just pad the numbers out so we've got enough coverage. Also, we put in place last year the flight crew, and that's been a big change, a big help for me as a coordinator, because I now have dedicated people who, they're the ones in the red t-shirts, and they are there to support the volunteers, and they're my, that level down. So it allows me to coordinate and manage and observe, and just frees me up to do a little bit more event control. Not even control is the wrong word, but just helps the event. So these guys are huge and take on a lot of heavy lifting for myself. So pilot meetings, huge. So one of the criticisms we had early on was that the flight line wasn't controlled enough. And, I asked Joshua and Carl to step up and see if we could develop something. And we've slowly, and last year was phenomenal. Last year was, I could actually not worry about that, because that was a huge management burden. Not burden, I'm using all the wrong words, but I couldn't help the event function, myself and Austin, and manage a flight line. So this year we've actually stepped it up to 4 flight crew to manage the flight line, and that is a huge change. And anything, and like as the programs evolve, I step back, I look at it, I have probably more flight crew than I intended this year, but we're gonna, and these are not permanent positions. These people doing these positions won't be doing this forever. These are, they're designed to roll over so other people can get experience. So, and the flight crew thing is just going to be amazing to help the event run as smooth as we want it to. So flight meetings. I'm just going to go over some of the comments here. Sketchy factor inspector. I just point over there and grab a plane and run. Yeah, I've done that a few times too. I show up to the flight line. I don't even have a spot or nothing. I just fly. But who's going to throw me out of the event? Let's see. Bill Deckard asks a really interesting question. As a fellow diabetic, and we'll talk about that. I'm pretty open about this now. How do you keep your meds cool while traveling and working your butt off? I hope you plan rest breaks. Thanks for sharing. So, yes. So anybody who knows me personally knows I've been through a pretty big lifestyle change. Let's see. Can you see that on the camera? Yeah, that's my glucose monitor. Yes, I am a type 1 diabetic, and this is something that sort of happened. We're not sure when, but I knew I came back from Flite Fest feeling very rough, and I got progressively worse and worse and worse. And on September 11th last year, I was in the ER, sitting there being told that my life was about to become very different. And so, yes, I am a type 1 diabetic, and I've been through quite the bumpy ride. However, I'm in control. And I feel stronger. I feel better. Not that I was a rough or out of shape kind of person, but now it's something. So, Bill, to answer your questions, 1, while I'm traveling, everything is on a cool pack, and 2, I will be storing my supplies and everything with the Furies, and possibly in the hangar. The hangar has a refrigerator, so my stuff will be nice and safe. I have cooked a pen. That sucked because it's expensive. And yes, I will be taking care of myself and watching my levels and everything. I have an amazing medical crew. I think we're up to 5 or 6 medics, male and female, which is super important. And these people take care of people in an amazing thing. Of all the volunteers you want to run into, these guys, they're on it. They know all the signs for hydration or heat stroke. A few of our good friends last year were affected. And it's one of those things, I hate to tell you, it's one of those things that if you don't take care of yourself, don't watch for signs, when you get hit by heat stroke, you're wiped out. I don't care how strong you are, how fit you are, it will affect you and it will take you down for the weekend. So it's something that we push and we remind people constantly. Drink, stay hydrated, get out of the sun, wear a hat, sunscreen, all these things. Monitor yourself. And I will be vigilant as anything this year because, I want to make sure I stay good and safe and not come home beat up and banged up and everything. So, all right, I'm going to continue listening to some of these comments or reading off these comments. Tip, put your radio down with the antenna facing the direction of your crash and your spotter to yes. So Ryan Papp is talking about the benefit of finding your aircraft. If you have your spotter, as you should, they should be able to see your aircraft. And I've learned, and I did this one year when I did the shark, a gentleman crashed his wing into the bean field, and I was just walking along, and I saw it. So I put my binder down in the direction of the airplane. I had my, not my binder, I had my clipboard, and I walked, and we kept walking, and the guy stayed back as my reference and would yell left and right, and we found it. And the guy and I met in the field, and he was moving his aileron controls. We found the wing, and poof, out of the cornfield, this wing came. There's a great photo that Wayne caught of the whole thing. So. And then Ryan also said from Austin, the quote from last year was, "It's too quiet, let's break something." Honestly, Austin and I have a bet, and I'm saying Saturday by 3 p.m., 4 p.m., we will have this thing so ironed out that I should, in theory, be able to sit down with him to have a meeting at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday in shade, and just have a meeting about how things are going and compare notes. And if we've done our homework right, if our experience is kicked in, because this will be our, 9th event? Between all of us, we should have enough. So... red shirts always eat first. Everyone else beams up. That's funny. Yes, the red shirts. There are plenty of good stuff. Come see the first aid guides. We'll get you covered. Yeah, heat stroke takes weeks to recover, according to Bill. Yes, and so I encourage everybody to keep themselves. I do have a weather report somewhere. I just don't have it handy, and I'm a meteorologist who emails me daily with updates, and the weather is looking much better than it did earlier on in the week. So, yeah. So, like I said, bring airplanes that you want to have fun with, that you don't expect to have a life expectancy. Myself this year, I'm actually not bringing any 4S packs or anything. I'm sticking with 3S. So, 800, 1300, 2200, and 4000s. And just because it makes simple charging, it's easy. You can actually stick all the packs together and balance charge together on a parallel port and not really worry about it. There is power in all the tents. We're only doing 2 build tents this year. I don't remember if last year we had 3 or not, but it was simple. And we've just consolidated it. We've made a lot of little changes this year. We're enforcing the wristband thing. Where's my wristband there? We're going to be enforcing the wristbands to make sure everybody's paid to be on site and everything, and then just control the event, limit the rolling traffic through there. There will be bus shuttle runs. We're looking at a wagon, I was told, so that'll be pretty cool. Just a lot of stuff. So the event continues to mature. 1, we are super focused on making sure everybody has fun. 2, we want to keep that familiar feeling. The event had to mature, had to grow, had to be able to sustain the volume, so it changes. Ryan Paps asks, is the vendor list been released? I don't know. I haven't seen it. Flytefest.com. They might have updated the website. I am not 100% sure at this point. Yeah, keep the questions coming. Otherwise, it is a very, very fun event. I look forward to it. I missed going down in May and hanging out with all my buddies. So this will be fun. It'll be a different event for me, as I stated, because of obvious reasons. But it's still going to be something I look forward to. I've been packing and prepping all this weekend, and but figured I would take the time out to do a podcast for everybody. So at least you have an hour and something that you can listen to some of our older shows. I've been asked before if I listen to podcasts when I'm driving. No, I listen to music, and then I have my buddies. We'll do a caravan with a few of us, and a caravan run, and we'll have our CB radios and yammer for 8 to 9 hours. Sorry, 9 to 10 hours. It's a long haul, but it's worth it. So bring your tent, bring your mattresses, bring your ground sheets, bring your rain gear. Make sure your tent's sprayed for all kinds of weather. Bring some backup equipment. But bring your spirit, have some fun, bring that smile, and just go. Yep, and Martin says he's packing tonight. Exactly. I'm going to have the car all set up and load it and put it away. Do all my maintenance sweeps on the car this afternoon and everything. Can you bring a mountain bike? You know what? I brought mine last year. I think it's a fantastic way to get around. My problem was I'd get off my bike, go and deal with a bunch of things, and realize my bike was on the other end of the field by the time I was done. So this year I'm actually going to leave it and just walk. But Nick, it is a fantastic way to get around. Yes, and be careful of people. Watch for everybody. We're going to be really policing it. I was really unhappy last year with the amount of go-kart traffic or golf cart traffic going through the main venues. So I think this year we're going to be even more policed about it. I don't think you need to be driving a vehicle through the main area at all. And don't forget bug spray. Don't forget your sunscreen. Yep, those are great points, Brian. But yeah, the mountain bike is pretty cool. If you got a little trailer to tow your planes along, fantastic idea. You get there early enough. Entry is on Wednesday, most in the afternoon. Bill Decker's asking why no night radiant. I just don't have time to set it up. I'm happy with my old one. You've got to remember how busy. And we'll talk about me getting him flying. I'm gonna fly all of them, but I'm content with my other one. Once I switch the receiver on my night radiant, yeah, but there'll always be next year to fly that thing. So it's just a matter of me finding time and priorities and everything. So rule number one, and it remembers from last year, is if I fly once a day, I've done good. I think last year we did two flights a day, which is awesome. So I'm bringing more airplanes than I probably should, but I want everything to fly. I want my dad's old flight, his Spitfire, to actually get going and fly at Flite Fest. And he actually built the racer and the Scout for me over the winter because he was looking for stuff to build, and so I passed him those. So those are going to go out. The racer's the old white foam board, so I got to be careful because I'm not sure how it's going to handle the dampness and humidity. So, but whatever. It's still worth flying. I'll buy a couple of kits while I'm down there and prep for the winter. So the store is going to be really nice. I'm really excited about that. And I'm not bringing any 3D printed planes this year. That was just too much of a disaster. And yeah, it should be fun. So I don't think I've got much more to say about it other than everybody who's commuting down there to drive safe and have fun getting to the event. There's going to be lots more announcements from the guys coming through. It would be a blast even if you only have one. Exactly, Bill. Exactly. A lot of people just show up with very limited. I'm probably bringing more than I want to, or we'll have a chance to fly, but I figured just a variety is going to keep things interesting. And like I said, think simple, keep it simple, don't overcomplicate it. I think we all have the tendency to do this, and that's my answer as far as the Radiant. I found the Night Radiant, as far as beautiful it is and interesting, I actually haven't flown it yet, and I just want to keep things simple. I know how well my existing Radiant flies, the one sitting right there, and I don't want to overcomplicate things. So the store and registration will indeed be air cooled. It will be a happening place. So anybody on registration duty, you're lucky. Pardon me, I just had some water. So the rest of you're going to be hot and working hard, but we will keep you hydrated and pumping along. So on that fantastic note, I think it is time to spool down the show. It is only 1 hour. I apologize, but that's now.